Alright, so I'm just going to put some liquid white on this canvas. This canvas is, well, let me talk about the canvas. I'll try to tell you a bit more about things as we go along. So first of all, I always use this. This is just a canvas. Every so often I replace it. I just use it to back up my other pieces. Then I use these little rests. I actually got that idea from Brandon Thomas to set my painting on. It sets my painting up just a little bit from the other one. This is a 16 by 20. It's just a regular old Michaels canvas. Lots of times I stretch my own canvas, but I did not do that for this one. It's got 2 coats. Even though it comes primed, I prime it myself. So I make my own gesso and sand it and then prime it again. So it has a little bit of a sort of a really light gray gesso on it today for what we're going to do. Alright, so we're just going to take some liquid white here and loosen up this canvas a little bit. I'll keep looking over. You guys, hey Vicky! Vicky, how are you? Haven't seen you in a long time. We were just down your way like, 2 weeks ago. We're just kind of scrubbing this in. I want a nice thin coat on here. Just enough to let the paint slide around. I want to focus today. My last painting, I think it was called Long Lake. The Long Lake had a lot of, had some mountains in it and had a lot of comments about people like the mountains. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about how I do that. Kind of do a little bit of a different kind of a mountain today. Just because I always like to do something different. I'm going to do a couple silhouettes next on some 11 by 14s, but I'm going to use a 16 by 20 today because the canvas was already primed. I say that as if I don't have a whole stack of primed canvases back behind me, but I do. I've got, I don't know how many different sizes, a bunch of different sizes. Always watch for Michaels to put them on sale. Or my art store has canvas stretchers on sale. So I'll buy a bunch of those. Tomorrow I'll be stretching canvas, so I'll probably do a video on that. Alright, so I'm just making this coat nice and even. Alright. So, now we're going to check, see if we got enough of this on here. So we'll just kind of touch it. It's a little light right there. So if you see here, got a nice fingerprint there, nice fingerprint there, not so good there. I'm going to put a little bit more on this other side. Right in this area right here. And we'll smooth it out. Make sure I didn't leave my fingerprints in there somewhere. Now you will see, unlike a bunch of people, I use 2-inch brushes. I have 2-inch brushes, but I usually mostly use them for blending. All right, so here's another tip. You get oil paint on your fingers, something that's really good to get it off. Just really easy and convenient. Just use baby wipes. They'll clean your fingers right off. All right, so let's see. We need to put a little bit of a sky in here. I don't want to spend a lot of time on the sky today, but because mostly I want to focus on doing some mountain work. Okay, Bob. You go sit over there for a little bit. So we'll put a little bit of a blue sky up here, I think, and a few clouds, and then I'll talk to you about different ways you can do different parts of the mountain today as we go. So let's start off. Let's get some. Let's see. Let's use some phthalo blue. I was going to use cerulean blue, but or maybe even some cobalt blue. But I think I'll just use some phthalo blue. I use paper palettes. So you can see, maybe you can see right there. I use paper palettes for most everything. They're so much easier to clean up. Plus, I just use, well, you can't see it on the top, but let me turn the camera so you can't see. maybe you can see right there on the top. I just keep transferring paint from palette to palette as I go because I paint so often. My paints are not going to dry up much. If I think it's going to be a couple days, I just throw a piece of saran wrap over the top of them or a sandwich bag over the top of it, and it'll keep it fresh. All right. So let's put some sky in. So we're going to start here in the corner. I'm going to start here. And that's okay for the top. Now, start on this side and work my way back. I'm going to leave some open spaces here as we go. And I haven't really given much thought about what I'm going to put down in the foreground. But I'm sure there'll be some water here somewhere. So let's try to, let's see. Let's put some water. I'll tell you what, let's just put some water like right in here. And maybe some right here in the middle. But I think there'll probably be some landscape around both sides of that, so. Let's paint this in here. We can figure it out as we go. Alright. Alright, so I'm going to clean the brush. You guys feel free to ask all the questions you want as we go, if you have any. Hey, Marshall. I'm going to blend the sky out here in a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to start at the bottom and start blending up. Now, I like to, some people will use the X stroke to blend the sky. I don't usually do that. I usually try to do sort of a circular motion like that. So it's just, and I try to kind of vary the size of that circle. I'm just creating some motion in the sky. Now if you continue to just blend this, it'll just blend out to blue. It's a regular old blue. Sometimes I blend it one way, and sometimes I blend it the other way. Go in the other direction. Doesn't really matter, because in the end, I'm just going to kind of... There we go. Alright, so I'm just going to wipe this brush. I'm not going to clean it, I'm just going to wipe it out. On this first pass, I'm going to blend it fairly hard. I'm going to blend it a little softer. Every brush stroke counts. Every brush stroke counts. And I'm just kind of adding some up. Just kind of sweeping it up a little bit. I'll keep the horizontal brush stroke from being in there. And kind of add the, just sort of add the little indication that there's some background clouds out there. Let's just put, now we're going to have, like I said, we're going to focus on mountains today. We're going to have two major peaks and several smaller peaks. Some are going to be back in the back. The two major peaks will be in the front somewhere. One may be staggered back farther than the other. And that's about as far as my plan goes at the moment. All right, so let's talk about clouds for a minute. So clouds, people struggle with clouds, and I don't really understand why. Well, I sort of do. People are they're trying to make the perfect cloud, and when in fact, if you go look in the sky, it's almost impossible to paint clouds wrong. They're really free up there. And they're all sorts of different shapes and sizes. So, it's pretty hard to paint one wrong. Can't say, oh, cloud doesn't come in that shape, because it probably does. And probably just as soon as you say it, you'll see one just like it. All right, so I use a fan brush to do this. You can use, well, maybe I'll do that. Tell you what I'll do. Let me set the fan brush aside for a second, and rather than use a fan brush, if I can find my filbert. There's a flat. Another flat. Oh, here they are. Oh yeah, I forgot I rearranged those. All right, so I'll just use a filbert for a minute. So we're gonna take this filbert. I'm gonna load it up with a lot of paint, like that. And instead of using it flat, we're gonna use the edge of it. So let me get another filbert up here. I have another one up here. Yeah, this one. Yeah, here you go. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using this side, and we're going to be kind of pushing that way and scrubbing it. Now, I will tell you, you can see from this filbert, maybe, if I get it close enough you can see it, this filbert's pretty worn down, so scrubbing can rough up your filberts pretty good, but it just comes out that way. All right, so, excuse me. So, clouds that are in the background are going to tend to be thinner and a little flatter than clouds that are closer. They're going to seem to be big and puffy. So we'll just put one in here. We'll kind of scrub this one in. Let's see where we want it to go. We'll start like right here. And we'll kind of scrub it in. There's a lot of paint in here. You can also use that to kind of smooth it out down here on the bottom a little bit, but where you normally blend it. Like that. Alright. So that's kind of how you do it with a filbert. Hey Shelly, how are you? Alright. So let's take that cloud. Excuse me, I just knocked something on the floor. Hang on a second. Alright, so we'll take this cloud, take a 1-inch brush here, and we'll just kind of blend it out. So we're going to use the edge of this brush, and we're just going to do kind of like, let me see if I can show you, like this. I ought to get a piece of plexiglass, and then I could kind of show you that way. We're just going to use the corner of this brush. We're just going to we're not going to touch the edge, we're just going to kind of blend the rest of this cloud out. We'll sweep it up a little bit. Sweep it up a little bit, little bit. We'll sweep it up a little bit. And kind of brush it back up in there. That'll push the cloud back farther on the horizon. Alright. And there you go. There's the first cloud. Alright, so now I'm going to do the next one with a fan brush. So now this fan brush, like the filbert, it's got a lot of paint in it. It's got a lot of paint in these bristles. You see it's loaded like halfway up to the edge. Now, the fan brush, using the fan brush, really the technique is kind of the same that way. Let me show you. There's a lot of ways you can put clouds in with a fan brush. You can just kind of stick it on there and twist it around. It'll certainly give you a random looking cloud. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take the edge. Rather than go straight in, I'm going to take the edge and just use the edge like this. And I'm going to create the cloud, and then I'm going to flip it over to the other side, use the paint on that side, and then we'll reload. So let's do that. All right, so once again, here's how full it is. We just put this cloud in, so we're going to put another cloud here close by. Now this cloud that we're about to put in here, since I said there's going to be big mountains, chances are part of that cloud and part of this cloud I'm about to put in are going to disappear. But we'll know they're back there. So let's start like right about here. Now this cloud's a little lower, so it'll be a little smaller than that one, a little thinner. And we'll flip it over to the other side. And I'm just reload. And I'm just going to, like, right out in here, I'm just going to kind of put a couple streamers. Maybe just a little bit of a edge, like that. All right, let's blend those out. Hey, Julie. Hey, Dave. Hey, Andy. Wow. Hey, everybody. This is usually not a convenient time of day for people, except for me. So, you guys feel free to ask any questions you have. I'll tell you anything I know, and I'll tell you if I don't know. All right, so we're just going to paint. We're mostly going to focus on mountains today, but we're throwing a few clouds in here to get us going here. All right. All right, so let's load this fan brush up again. I'm going to put one more cloud in here, I think. We're going to put it. And part of the reason for that is the mountains that I put in today are not going to be your normal run-of-the-mill snow-type clouds. They're going to be more like Arizona clouds, I guess. So I want to create some of this white in the background to increase the contrast. All right, so let's see. I don't want all the clouds in the same spot. So let's put this one up here. Maybe we'll put two more clouds in here. There we go. That'll probably be all right. So let's blend that out. Hey, Sally. Hey, Julie. Hey, James. Hey, Logan. I didn't see you. Didn't see you come in. Hey, guys. I'll look over as often as I can. I get painted. Sometimes I get focused and I forget to look over. All right, so we're just gonna use the edge of this brush. We're gonna lightly fluff those up a little bit and push them back. Just soften them up just a little bit. All right, now I think maybe one more floater like right along in there somewhere would be kind of cool. So put just a little bit more paint on my brush here. We'll just kind of, this blue, up against that blue, this floater will show up just without a lot of trouble. All right, so we'll just kind of fluff it up a little bit and then brush it back. All right, that's good, that's good, that's good. All right. So, hey, Andy. Did I say hi to everybody? If I didn't say hi to you, hello. I try to keep up with everybody. So this video will show up on my Fine Arts page. You guys feel free to jump in anytime you want. Say hello. Ask any questions that you might have. I'm going to clean a couple fan brushes here. I'm a third-year artist. An ex-IT guy, so I guess I was waiting to retire so I could be arty. All right, now I just noticed got a couple little brush strokes right here, so we're just going to kind of go up there and just kind of lightly push those away. There we go. Just blend them back out. Here we go. All right. This is oils, in case anybody's wondering. Hey, Dorothy. Brandon Deep, how are you? Joyce, hope all you guys are having a good day. I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, in the middle of the gateway to the south. All right, so let's do some, let's start putting some mountains in here. Now, if you see my other videos, I usually don't have an idea of what I'm going to paint. I just kind of start and see where it goes. But I do know today I want to put some mountains in, so the reason for that, my last painting, Long Lake, I got a lot of questions about the mountains. People sent me some private messages and stuff about the mountains. So, all right, so let's mix up a mountain color. I think I actually have some mountain mixture here. Primarily, I'm using Bob Ross paints. I don't always, but Hobby Lobbies around here last year stopped carrying them, so They were $2 a tube, so I have a lot of Bob Ross paint. Alright, so I got some mountain mixture there, but I'm going to put some other colors out here too. Put some alizarin crimson out here on my palette. Some Van Dyke brown, where is it? It's dark sienna. There it is. And I've already got some Prussian blue on the canvas from my last painting. I paint a new painting every couple days, so all right, let's do this now. Now, let me talk about different ways you can put your mountain in. I'll just start off with some mountain mixture, just for the heck of it. I've got about this much on the knife. When you're holding the knife, it's not a good idea to put your finger on here, especially if you're applying highlights, because it tends to make you want to push down hard. It's okay if you're first putting the mountain in, but it's not too good when it won't work when you're putting it. You'll just get like a cake icing type snow or whatever other colors you're putting on there. I'm going to show you two different ways that you can put your mountain outlines on here. So we'll start off with the knife. So we'll put this on here. Well, let's see. Let's figure out how big we want these things. So let's start right on the top of this cloud right here. So now I don't like my mountains to be too pointy, so I'm going to go a little bit to the side like this, and then kind of push this in. I think I want this to be steeper than that. So I'll tell you what, let's put another mountain or distant peak like right there, back there. Now I can bring this on down like that. So that's one way to kind of put your outline in there. Tell you what, let's put another one back. Let's put another peak back here. We'll deal with that later. But let's get it on there anyway. Now, you can use whatever you're comfortable with. You can use a 1-inch brush, a 2-inch brush, a filbert, any kind of brush to kind of start moving this paint around. Now, you don't want to touch the edge. If you do, it's okay. You can recover that too. But just maybe I'll do a session one time about how to correct errors, happy little accidents. All right. Now you can use this time to kind of lay out the slope of your mountain, decide where you want it to go, how you want it to look. Let's just brush this one out too. So hopefully you can see the pattern. So you can actually, let me darken this up just a little bit. I'll put a little bit more paint up here to kind of show you. You can kind of brush in how you want the slope to go like this. And then if you decide, oh no, I want even if I want to highlight on the other side, you can just change it and make it go this way. So it's a good time to lay out your, you're not stuck, right? So you haven't committed anything. All right. Now I'm going to put the other outline of the other mountain in, but I'm going to do it a different way. I'll show you how to do that. It's called Mountain Mixture. It's actually a Bob Ross color, but you can mix it yourself. It is just take some Prussian blue, equal amounts of Prussian blue, alizarin crimson, and Van Dyke brown. They'll make the same color, and then you can use more or less of any particular one of those to make it more purple, or as you can see, this is sort of a gray, and the reason it's a gray is because it's going over the top of this blue. So there's over the top of this blue. So there's more blue in there. So if I want it to be a different color than that, you can also, if you rather than using a dark color like that, you can if you wanted to use a different color, you could use like you could use alizarin crimson and sap green and sort of make a Christmas brown. Mix those two together, it'll make a really nice soft brown. You can use So it's just a matter of taste. But you'll see Bob, if you watch Bob Ross at all, you'll see Bob uses alizarin crimson, Prussian blue, and Van Dyke brown to make those colors. And then he'll throw a little bit of white in it so you can look to see if it's gray. All right, so let's put the other mountain in. So I'm going to do this mountain. I'm just going to lay it out a little different to show you a different way for you to do it. So I'm going to do that using a filbert brush. So I'm going to load the filbert brush up pretty good. And the best way to load it is don't just pull it through the paint, but kind of wiggle it like that as you're pulling it through. All right. Now, the good thing about using a filbert, sure, anytime. Hey, Rocky. So the thing about using a filbert is you'll notice sometimes a lot of people, and I did this when I first started painting, mountains all tend to look like teepees. They're pointed like that one over there, right? So I'll use this filbert brush to prove a point. Now, there are some mountains that are pointed, so there's nothing really wrong with that, but you can actually take that filbert and kind of round that out like that. And there you go. Now your mountain doesn't look quite as pointy. And especially if you've got a range of mountains going across, because it makes it look like a sawtooth. Dragon's teeth. So, okay, now this mountain here, we're going to put on this side. We're going to lay it out with a filbert. So, unlike when we put the clouds in, we're actually going to use the filbert going forward. So we're not going to use the edge, we're going to use the tip. We're going to make this mountain a little taller, which means we're going to go right over the top of these clouds we put in here, which is good because it'll push them back a little bit. And we kind of load some more paint. Let's put another mountain out here a little bit. Let's get this guy up. All right. Here we go. All right. And so the nice thing about the filbert when you're doing that is you can add other. It's pretty easy to add other mountains in. And keep your paint to a minimum. All right, now I'm going to show you a little bit of a trick here. I went in over the top of this cloud, and that would, if I just left it that way, even as I break this out, it would leave this mountain a little light on the inside. So I'm just going to take right here my knife. I'm just going to scrape this extra paint off. As you can see, I didn't pull a lot of paint off of there, but I pulled enough. So, all right, now we can come back either with the filbert or a 1-inch brush. We'll just add some paint in here. Doesn't really matter what's going on down here too much. I just want to get some color in here. Now, I know when I first started, we're just going to put some color in here, about drove me crazy. But it really doesn't matter all that much. All right, so let's look at what we got here. So we got a couple of outlines of some mountains here. We still gotta pull the extra paint off on this other one. So we'll do that here. So let's take it, so we got a mountain here, mountain there, mountain there, back in the background. We got a mountain here, back in the background. Got this mountain, that slope. We could put something back here, but I don't think we will. All right, so let's start with this one in the back. It's always good to start with the rear. Okay. We want this, so we're going to have a valley right here. Should have started back in the back. Here we go. So now, going to the back side. So now, I'll show you something kind of interesting here. I'll show you in just a second here. Look right here. Look right here, we've got sort of a straight adjustment there, and then we've got a little bit of a mountain back there that may or may not show up when we get done with the highlight, but again, you can change the slope just by brushing it. So it's a nice time to decide how you're gonna not stuck there. But so I want these slopes to be kind of steep going down. All right, because these are not going to be well, they have a little bit of snow, but not very much snow. All right. Anything when you're blending them out like that, though, is you want to pull as much paint off of there as you can. Very good, Rocky. All right. So let's see. See a couple places where there's a little bit more paint than I want on there, so let's take it off. Here we go. All right. Now, one thing you'll notice about me, I tend to clean my brushes a lot. The reason for that is I have ADD, so I tend to not lay my brushes down too much. Okay. All right, let's go to the knife. So we've got blue sky with some white. We've got a lot of good dark contrast. So let's start putting some additional contrast on there. So these mountains are going to be more like kind of Midwest mountains. So what we're going to do, let's do this. Let's mix up some. I'm going to make two colors here. Well, I'm going to make a mixed color actually. So I'm going to use some dark sienna and some yellow ochre. And I'm going to make a little bit of a marbled paint. So you can see there's a lot of different colors in here. All right, so the sun's going to be coming in this way. The light source is going to be coming in this way. So we'll kind of start back here in the back. And we're going to rather than use the normal kind of the generic pull the stuff down, we're just going to kind of let this knife bounce along a little bit down this slope. And these mixtures of color will give us, there we go. Let's mix up some more of that. That looks pretty good. I like that. Yeah, Rocky, my Facebook page is Ben Stiver's Fine Art. Okay, so now, for those of you that joined late, one of the things I said was don't put your finger on the knife like this. If you do, it'll create like a cake icing type thing. When you bring the knife in flat like this, and keep the handle close, you can actually feel, and just tilt it just a little bit. You can feel when the paint touches the canvas, and when it does, then you just pull it. Just pull it. And I'm just kind of bouncing this around. Taking my time here. I want to make this part up there on the top and slope a lot. Now, something else about those, people tend to make very straight mountain slopes, and what I mean by that is they may just have it come straight down the mountain. The mountain looks like it's split, goes that way. It's kind of nice if you kind of make that uneven. So you can see between this brown and this mixtured color, we're going to build up more contrast on this. So, but this will get us going. Now down here toward the bottom, we're going to pull this. We're going to go over this a couple times instead of just once, because I want to soften it, and that will do that. It'll smooth that paint out some, and it'll cause it to look like it's farther back than it is. And then we'll do this edge. right here. Okay. Let's add just a little bit more highlight here. Maybe a little bit more right out here. Hey, Bruce. All right, so before we switch any colors, let's go to the other side. So I'm going to turn this now. I'm going to turn the canvas so you guys can see it a little better, hopefully. All right. So we're just going to come right in here, right on the edge. And actually, as you bring your knife in, you want to be just a little bit above the edge and bring it down. You can feel it touch and just bring it down. Now, I'm going to show you over here on this mountain. You can actually, if you bring it down straighter, it'll make your mountain look a lot more steep. So rather than curve this out, I'm just going to kind of bring it down. I'll show you that way. So the straighter down that you pull it, of course, the more steep it's going to look. Let me come over here. All right, so let's put a little bit on back here on this guy. And then, let's see. We want some sun, a little bit of sun to shine in through that, but not much, not much. All right. So that's bringing us pretty close to the end of step 2 on these mountains. Put a little bit more in here like that. All right. Now, using the same color we did before. Actually, you know what? I think I might even change that up a little bit. Let's take... So I'm going to switch. I was going to use the same mountain color that I put on. Maybe I still will. Let's try that. So let's go with just the straight mountain mixture. And we'll come back here to the mountain on the left. And we'll start laying in the highlight. I mean the reverse highlight. So, of course, the highlights we want to put in, we're always going to be pulling to the right on this mountain. So you pull into, so in your highlight, your lightest colors are always going to be to whichever side the light is going, and then you pull to the opposite direction for the rest. So I'm going to use a dark color because I want this to be a high contrast area on the back side of these mountains. And the reason that it looks so dark is because it's mixed in with the liquid white that we originally put on the canvas. All right, so let's add some in here. So let's put a little bit in here. Here's a range right here. Put some on this mountain back here. So you can see just by adding the original color we were actually using, you can create this contrast back up in here. I'm not going to put too much contrast back here in the back because it's way back there. Now I'll show you something else about that in just a second. Hang on. Let's go back to here and pull this guy out. Oh, I see I missed a spot. I told you about this button, but I forgot to actually highlight that. So let's go in here. We're just going to pull this straight down because we want it to be like that. Then we'll come back with a highlight, with this darker highlight color, and we'll cut in toward that. Don't worry, the canvas is going to take what it wants, so just the lightest pressure, And the more of these contrast points that you make, the more your mountain is going to take shape. Now I want to show you something else. It makes it pop, doesn't it, Joyce? I mean, that darker color really makes it start to pop out. I'll show you a little bit of difference here. We're going to bring this color in some places. Maybe let's see. Let's pull it over here. Let's put it over here. Oh, you know what? I missed a spot. Sorry, guys. Hang on. I missed the highlight spot. It happens often. All right. So let's go back over here. All right. All right. So now I'm kind of shifting from the mountain color, that mountain color, to something that's just a little bit darker. So let me kind of, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but it's going to be just a shade darker, which kind of even gives the shadow part even sort of more of a pop. All right, so let's come over here now and work on this guy. This is easier for me to hold out like that to show you. So we want to leave some of that blue in there. We don't want to take that away. But we do want to point out, like, every place we pull it in the opposite direction, we're going to create a slope. So you can use the broad end of the knife, or just make sure that when you pull it, that you don't pull it this way, because that's against the highlight. And you can kind of mix it in here to kind of soften the shadows just a little bit. All right. Now, just taking some of that off my knife. I want to darken this shadow up some more on this side. Here we go. And I want to kind of smooth that out a little bit right there. So you notice I don't have my finger out on the blade. If I do, it's going to make me unhappy. I don't want to be unhappy. All right, so there you go. Now, but we're not done yet. Night, Rocky. All right, so I want to take this original color that I have, this kind of you can see. So let's think about this for a minute, because it's all about contrast. So we got liquid white mixed with this mountain mixture, and then it's the lighter color. We've got a little bit of midnight black, but mostly the darker mountain color is on here as well. If you look where I scrape, it won't even move. So there's very little paint on here. Then we're going to take then we have the mountain. We've got dark sienna and yellow ochre coming out this way. So that's the highlight. But I really want to make that highlight. You could leave it like that. It'd look fine. I mean, you can go ahead and put the rest of your foreground in here. It would be just fine. But I have found I'm going to add one more thing to this. So I'm going to take some titanium white, and I'm going to mix it with this original highlight color and just make a really kind of a light color. And I'm just going to lightly and faintly add some little bit brighter colors in here just to make this pop. You don't want too much of that. You just want to make but it'll make particular ridges stand out. You might want a little. Let's get a little bit on the edge of my knife, and we'll put it on. Let's put some on that slope over here. Maybe just a little bit. And on the slope over here. And then let's run it down this way. So, thank you, Bruce. This is really what I wanted to. I don't know what else is going to go on this painting today. This is really the kind of the thing I wanted to focus on. All right. So we don't want to get too rambunctious with this. So let's just kind of add a little bit more here and there. And maybe like let's put a ridge like that. Yeah. And maybe just a little bit more. All right. So there you go. That pretty much lays in the mountains. Okay. Okay, any questions on that part? All right, then let's go forward. So one thing I want to do though is I want to blend the base of these mountains so I can start to bring some more stuff in here. So we're just gonna, I've got plenty of liquid white down here, so let's just kind of very, very lightly brush it up, staying with the direction of the slope. You can also to soften your mountains. I know you see like some of the guys, they get in there and they start pounding. They're just like pound, 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 and they make their fog. And sometimes I do that. It's also just as good to just kind of lightly tap it like this, and as you see, it'll soften that mountain ridge without actually destroying anything that I've put in there. Let's do this side. So we're just lightly tapping it, This keeps you from destroying all that pretty stuff you just put in there. Get back to the door. All right. Now let's add some stuff. Thank you, Joyce. Okay, let's put in, what you say? Let's put in like, these mountains, they got a little bit of snow on them, but they're kind of springtimey. So let's go, what you say? We could put some trees across here, but let's put a little bit of snow, just a little bit of snow in here. So we could put the snow right over that brown, but I don't think that would look too good. So let's just take, let's see, what do I want to use? I'll just use my knife. So let's just take a little bit of white, a little bit of this phthalo blue that I was using for the sky. Maybe a little bit more than that. There we go. All right. We're going to leave this in a mixture. We're going to do the same kind of thing that we did on the mountains, except we're just going to kind of create maybe some light glacier areas. Like a light glacier area. Kind of make it seem I haven't decided if I want to leave that there. We'll find out. We'll find out as we go. All right, because that's just me. And then let's just take that and highlight it just a little bit. And now let's start thinking about putting some trees in there. All right. I'm thinking. That's always dangerous. Oh. Well, Joyce, come on. You can do it. Just pick up the brush and let's go for it. So now it's a good idea. Actually, it's a good idea. I should have done this before. I told you this before. It's a good idea to, as you're putting on each color, to kind of back up away from the painting and take a look at it and make sure that you kind of got what you want. But I tell you what, rather than put like a big stack of trees in here, let's do this. Let's take, let's get some sap green. So I'm going to mix up some sap green, and what do I want to mix up with that? Let's mix up some. Let's mix up a little bit of dark sienna. I got some of that. I'm going to put a little bit more on the palette. And maybe a little bit of, I got some of that blue left. Yeah, okay. So we'll use that blue. So we'll take some sap green in about equal parts. A little bit of brown to tone it down. Some blue. And kind of make a blue-green. So we've got, so don't forget, we've got, so this is kind of the color. Can you guys see that? It's real dark. It's not real dark, but it's pretty dark. I think it might be a little bit too dark. Let's add a little bit of, let's add a little bit of titanium white to that and make it a little bit lighter, because these trees are back in the distance. All right, so let's do that. All right, now we'll do these with a fan brush, because I really like to do these with a fan brush. And I like to use a number 3 fan brush to do this. The other picture. No, I don't. No, I don't have a picture. I don't have a picture. I'll tell you what I do have, though. Hang on a second. I'll show you something. So, I have this little sketchbook. And back here in the sketchbook somewhere, I just have these. So this is what kind of got me painting today. Can you guys see that okay? This is kind of what I hope maybe what we're going to do. It doesn't quite fit, right? Because the mountains are different. But I want to kind of put some trees back here on this ridge. And maybe several rows of trees. And I want to build my way up to building these trees right here, and then put this pond in, maybe a tent over here on this side. I don't know, maybe we'll put a camp sign in there. I don't know, I've never tried to do any of that, so we'll see. I don't hardly ever do anything twice, so. Alright, so let's start putting some trees in here. Oh, you know what, before we do that, let's just kind of, I want to fuzz this out. Let me get a little bit of titanium white here. I'm going to put a little bit more fog in here. So there's that tap, tap, tap I was telling you about earlier that you can use. Kind of put that in there. Alright, let's do this. Alright, so I've got this lighter green. Start putting some trees in. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to start back here, and we're going to make some really short ones. And we're just, for those of you, we're just taking the brush, the fan brush, and I'm just using this part of the fan brush. I'm just dragging it straight down to make these trees. And sometimes I'm using the top part because it's easier too, but. So we're just going to put these trees across here. It's a little greener than I had hoped for. Let's try to add a little bit more brown to that. There we go. Now you can use any size fan brush, or you can use a 1-inch brush. I'll tell you what, when I make the next row of trees, I'll use a 1-inch brush and show you guys how to do that. How's that? That work? Or at least I'll show you how I do it. Alright. Now, when you do these trees, be careful, first of all, that you don't make all of your trees the same size. Because if you kind of do that, if you just kind of do it like this, it's just going to look like fence posts out there. Alright? Can you see that? So, make them different sizes. And the other thing is, don't put them so far apart. People like kind of do like that. And that's not cool. Oh yeah, Rosemary, on my... Oh, really? Thank you, Rosemary. There's half a dozen videos on my on my fine arts page, on the Ben Stivers Fine Art page. And if there's something in particular you want me to cover, just ask me and I'll be glad to do that. Or at least I'll give it a try, because I don't hardly ever do the same thing twice. You'll see if you look in my library, you'll see I do a lot of landscapes, but I've done some few space paintings. Actually, I just wanted to do those to see if I could. All right, so you can see these trees are all different colors. I'll show you another trick here in a minute. Now, I want to add a little bit more dark to some of these, like that. So I'm going back, because I don't want all the trees to be the same color. Here we go. Because they're just not, right? Out in nature, they're just not. So you can see these trees are picking up a little bit darker. Yeah. And really, it's because what we're creating is, I don't know if you guys can see it, but those trees over there that are lighter look farther away because they're lighter, right? And these trees that are out here look a little bit closer because they're darker. All right. Now we'll stick another tree or two in here when we get done. But okay, now as we move toward the center, we want to move back up toward this mountain some. So let's. I'm going to go back up a little bit to the lighter color. I'm just going to kind of work my way back down this way. Still using the same fan brush, number 3 fan brush. So if I wanted to, I could actually shorten these. I'll tell you what, let's do that. Let's bring this row of trees behind this row of trees a little bit. So let's do that. Let me fill in that area right there. I missed a spot. All right, here we go. Tip, tap, 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 tap. Ran out of paint. See a lot of people try to paint without dirt. Okay, now, so we brought those close together. So let's do this before we start to overlap them. Let's take this bunch right here, and let's just tap, 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 tap along the bottom. So we're using that liquid white we put on there, just creating a little bit of a mist. Buzzing them back out. You can hear I'm putting on a pretty good bit of pressure on this set, unlike the mountains up there, right? All right, now watch what happens here. So, can you guys see that? Let me move it so you can see it. All right, so you can see about this row of trees in, but we created this fog right here, and now we're going to bring those trees across this way. And that will push that other row of tree, and we're going to darken them up a little bit more again. And that'll push that row of trees back farther. Yeah, I'll be glad to make a video on most anything you guys. If you're an acrylic painter, because I'm an oil painter, if you're an acrylic painter, you'll see Anthony's got posts on my page. Anthony does a lot of acrylic work, and he has a class almost every Wednesday. He's got a lot of videos on YouTube, and so check him out. He's pretty good. Now, whether I'll cover up all these trees or not remains to be seen. But okay, now I'm going to show you. So now, if you look across, so you can see the trees are in front of the other trees now, right? So, but if you come back and you look and you see, like, we got a little bit of white over here, there might be some, oh, like right here, there's some lines in between those trees. That's okay. Just go back in here and darken it up. Okay. Now, thank you, Hope. All right, so let's what shall we do now? All right, let's go ahead and fog these out a little bit. So we're just gonna create some mist. And you do that. Now when you do that, don't just tap the very bottom. You want to move up into the trees a little bit, right? Because really what you're doing is you're creating a softening that you can paint back over. So now, let me go back and show you that little sketch. I don't know if we'll follow what the sketch actually has in it, but we might. Some of it. That would be so unusual for me. All right. So there's a couple things we could do. In lots of landscapes, rather than making that softer like that, we could have just taken that and pulled it straight down and brushed it sideways and made a reflection and put a lake in there. That would have been pretty easy to do. But let's put some landscape in here. So what I want to do is I want to create just a little bit of land over here first of all, and then we'll come back over to this part in a minute, because this is where the tent that I was thinking about might go. All right, so so the color needs to be a little bit darker. So we're going to add some more black in here, a little bit of midnight black. I don't have any blue left either. Well, all right, hang on a second. I got to mix up some more paint. What color is this? Maybe this will be. Doesn't matter as long as it's a little bit darker. All right, let's try that. That looks a little bit darker. We'll see if it is, and if it's not, we'll change it. All right, so I'm just gonna use a 1-inch brush. I'm just gonna create like a little bit of a chiseled edge on it, and we're just gonna tap some landscape right here on the edge of the fog. And guys, anybody can do this. 2 years ago, I went to a Bob Ross class just because I'm retired, and I had been told in college that I had no talent for painting, and I actually believed that person who told me that. And 250 paintings later, I found out after going to Bob Ross class that was wrong. All right, so let me just tell you, you can do this. All right, so let's. All right, so I see how that landscape's coming. So let's just take and I don't want to get too rambunctious because I want to get the pond in there. So let's just start right here and work this up. We'll just make it a little. We don't want it to be too even. Now, I'll show you a trick. Is this trick? Well, I should have shown you a trick earlier. But, can I? All right, well, listen, I'll show you this trick anyway. This doesn't have anything to do with the painting, and we'll have to come up with some way to fix it, but I'll show you anyway. When you're painting these back trees, if you want to be even farther back, you can actually put the paint on like this, and then take your brush and just lightly pull it up, and voila, you got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of trees. Can you see that? So, all right, I gotta do something else with that now. All right, anyway, let's go back to what we were doing. All right, so let's put a little bit of highlight on that, and then we'll start adding some trees in here. Hi, Gardenia. That's a pretty name. Hope's a pretty name too. I just went to a concert last night with Third Day, and we spent a good bit of time talking about hope last night. Not you in particular, Hope, but the concept of hope. All right, so let's take. So I got some cad yellow in here from a painting I did yesterday. We'll use some of that. Let's get a little bit of liquid white out. Well, you know what? I don't even really need to do that. I'm just going to use a little bit of just regular refined linseed oil, and I'm going to put this on a paper plate because I'm cheap. So we're just going to take a little bit of this and pour it on a paper plate. You can also use liquid clear. That'll work pretty good. If you don't have liquid clear, you can make it yourself. Just take some linseed oil and make it 1 part linseed oil and 4 parts of mineral spirits. Voila, you got liquid clear. You don't need to go spend a lot of money for that. You can buy the linseed oil at the hardware store. All right, so I have this on the plate. I can't hold it and the knife and the plate and everything to show you. But so what I'm gonna do, I'm not gonna clean this brush. I'm just gonna take it and I'm gonna put I'm gonna tap some of that green. I'm gonna tap it in this yellow. I'm tapping some more. Move a little bit more green. There we go. And then I'm just gonna come in here and I'm lightly tap it in there, so that now the way to tell that you got this right is when you're tapping it onto the paint, the blob of paint on your easel. Let me move the camera so you can see. Hopefully you can see that. When you're tapping it, you should see those little peaks come up right there. So those little peaks ought to come up. And that's all it takes. You don't need it if the peaks don't come up, it's too thin. All right, so let's highlight the top of this. So we're just going to go in here and let's see. Let's just lightly touch it. Let's put a little bit of meadow in here. You can mix that up. You can add a little bit of like that other color, the yellow ochre that I had in there earlier. Let's put some of that. All right, so I think that's going to work out pretty good. So we need to start. I'm going to hold that brush off to the side for a minute. I'm going to get another 1-inch fan brush out here, and let's just put some land in here. So we're just going to put some color in here. Da-da-da. And let's just kind of tap, tap, tap. And you don't want it to be all like, ooh, so kind of move it around. I always have to move around because I'm a little too symmetrical, being an ex-IT guy. So let's just kind of. And make sure when you do this that when you tap, that you don't pull it. Or see how it makes it, that don't look too good right there. It'll make kind of a smear. So just tap, 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 tap. All right, now let me figure out where these trees are going to go, and then we can kind of start to work on the rest of that. Oh, okay. I'm glad we're back. I might have used up all of my talking time. All right, I talk a lot. All right, so I'm just going to mix up a kind of a dark color for this tree stuff. So let me get it mixed up here. Hang on a second. All right, let's throw a few trees in here around the pond. I'll tell you what, before we do that, let's just take a 1-inch brush. I need to get a little bit more of that blue right here. Well, you know what? No, I don't need to do that. All right, so tell you what, let's do this. Right here where we want to put in the pond. Let's just take a little bit of this color and pull it down into the pond like that. And then we'll just brush it across and turn it into reflections. Here we go. We'll work on the rest of it in just a second. All right, let's put a couple trees in here. So I've got a fan brush, number 3 fan brush, just like I did the other trees back here. Except this time, we need a lot of paint in there. So as you can see, it's really well loaded. And what we're going to do, you can do this one of 2 ways. We're going to use the very real tip of the. Let me get an unfilled paintbrush and I'll show you. We're going to take the edge of the. I'm going to use this big giant fan brush. All right, so we take the edge of this fan brush, and you can either push it up like that to make the tree, or you can push it down like this. And depending on which way you do it, the branches will either go up on the tree or they'll go down on the tree. So it depends whether you have trees like their arms up in the air or trees that don't. All right, so let's put some trees in here. Let's start, say, over here. Let's start back here. So we're going to go up above those trees, and I'm just going to lay a line down in here. This is your bravery test, because you've got to paint right over the top of everything you just did. Okay, so here we go. So we're just going to lightly go tap, 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 tap. And we just kind of go back and forth. So flip the brush over, it gets more paint on it. There we go. There we go. We have a tree. Would you like to see that again? We're going to go back and highlight it and all that kind of stuff, but every tree needs a friend, right? All right, so now, the size of your trees and where you end your trees can make a lot of difference. So let's take another tree. We'll make it not as tall, but instead of ending it down here by the water, we'll end it back here in the back, a little farther. Push, 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 push. There you go. So now you can see we can lightly tap around the landscape right there. And voila, we push that tree back. So can you guys see that okay? Someday I'm going to have a better camera and I'll be able to do all kinds of cool stuff, maybe. All right, so let's finish putting in some trees. All right, let's see. So I want one over here. So let's go all the way up on the ice floe. Let's put a big tree in here, right about here. And don't make all your trees straight. Trees aren't, because they're not. All right, so we just kind of make a couple taps at the top. We start working our way down. Now, if your paint won't stick, just add a little bit of paint thinner to it, because I'm going over 6 layers of paint right now with this paint, and my paint's still pretty thick. Well, I didn't mean to do that, but there you go. So we got a row of trees here, and you see they're getting progressively closer and progressively bigger. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you very much. You guys are so kind. All right, so using the same brush, we'll come back and do some more work on these trees in a minute. Let's put some brush in around here. So we're just going to push it up like this. Push it up, push it up. This will let us close in the pond a little bit. Let me close that tree up a little bit. All right. And let's just kind of, you can do it this way, or you can do it this way. All right, so we're going to close that pond off because there's going to be like a, all right, so I think we got room for another tree over here. Let's put another one in here. I told you guys, I don't ever plan anything, so it kind of, you're just kind of along for a ride. This will be on my Ben Stivers Fine Arts page, so you guys can go there and watch it as much as you want. And feel free to always message me. I just love to help people that want to learn how to paint. All right, so there we go. There's another tree. Let's make that a little bit wider. There we go. All right. So now let's I'll tell you what, let's finish up these 4 trees and work on the pond, then we'll put in a landscape, and then we'll come over here and deal with this side. How's that sound? Does that sound like a deal? All right. So one thing that's helpful for your trees and giving them a little bit of realism, you can use, just take your knife and make sure it's clean, which mine isn't, which is weird. But, all right, let me clean it real quick. There we go. All right, so you can take your knife and just push it straight in like this, and just lightly push it up. And that'll give your trees kind of a point, right? Because that's what pine trees do. Just like that. And if you want, you can pull it straight on down. I'll do that with this one just to show you. You can pull it straight down, and it'll give you the indications of a trunk in there. But I'm actually going to put a trunk in there. So, all right. So let's just take a little bit of dark sienna and a little bit of this bluish white that I had before. I'm just kind of using up the paint that's on here on the thing. And we'll just kind of go in here. We don't need a trunk all the way down, so we'll just kind of make it some indications of some trunks. That one back there, you're not going to see too much, but put some trunk in on this one. This one you might see a little bit more trunk, so let's get a little bit more because it's closer. All right. Now, let's highlight these trees. So we're going to use the same yellow that we used back here. And we're just going to take a little bit of that linseed oil, just barely touch it. Get some, you know what, I'll tell you what, let's use a little bit of this green as well. Let's make it a little bit more green, because I don't want the highlight to just kind of be jumping out there. All right, so let's just, now, so the sun's coming in this way, right? Light's coming in this way. You can see all the reflections on the mountains and on the trees. So let's just kind of, we don't want to highlight every branch. You just want to barely touch it. Like that. Guys, let me know if you have any questions as we're doing this, because sometimes I get going and I don't look up fast enough. Then what I want to do, and I'll do it in just a second. Like I say, now, you want some of this to not just stick on one side of the tree, because that's not how trees reflect either. It's not like a savage edge. So it's kind of nice to put, a little bit on the other side, just a little bit though, because we're going to put a reverse reflection on here. All right, got to clean my brush. Too much green. Picking up too much green off of those trees. All right, so let's get some more yellow. A little bit of green. And a little bit of liquid clear. Hey, Keith! All right, let's go. All right, now, I want to show you how adding a third color. Thank you, Deborah. how you can add a third color and make these trees really kind of pop out. So give me a second. Let me mix up some color. Well, phthalo blue's a little light, but a little bright, but I'll put a little bit on there. We'll see how that goes. Let me get some white. I'm gonna need white anyway, so drop a. I go through more white than anything in the world, but all right. So let's just take and clean this brush. Now this color that I'm going to put on is going to mix with this green, so it's going to mute the color down just a little bit as I go, and that's good. All right, so I'm going to pick up some blue. I'm going to pick up some white. Maybe a little more blue. All right. So you can see this is kind of, it looks kind of bright, right? So we'll just tap a little. We're just going to add this a little bit, just a little bit of this color onto the other side of these trees. Sticking in the same direction we put them up before. That one in the distance we're not going to worry about too much. We'll put a little bit on one side too. There we go. Any place that looks a little too light, we'll mute it down with this darker color again. Here we go. All right. Now, before I get going too far down the line, these trees back here in the back. One thing you can do is you can get just a little bit of a lighter color on your brush like this, and you can actually go back here and just lightly put some lines up like that and create the instance of all these trunks back here in the background. I don't want to overdo it, but you see how that does. It just adds more depth in back there. All right, now we're gonna bring our colors. I messed up my color. All right, so let's tell you what, let's just do this. Let's get some midnight black. That's going to be our front color. We're just going to bring that up. Maybe we'll mix it with some more sap green though. Let's do that. Because we still want to put our tent over here, and we want to sink this water down into the landscape. So let's do a little bit of that first, I guess. So I'm just going to take some titanium white. You can use a light blue if you want. Oh, you know what? I'll tell you what. Let's see. I'll tell you what. Let's take, before we do that, I'm going to take some color right here. So the light's shining in this way. So I'm just going to take some color. Reflect this tree down into the water like that. And take this color and it could be a little wider than that, but it doesn't need to be. There we go. All right, guys, we're getting close to the home stretch now. All right, so we want to take this and pull it down just a little bit, and then brush it across. Let's don't brush it with that one. Let's brush it with this one. So smooth that out into a reflection. All right. Now let's put some water lines in here. So we'll put some water lines in around the edge of this, and then we're going to highlight this vegetation. So we got some titanium white on here. a little too much, but I think it'll work just fine. We're just going to scrub this in. And we're going to keep it horizontal, but we're going to keep moving it down. Down, down, down. And we're not going to put too much over there because we'll put some more out here. And then we'll put a couple like that. And maybe a couple right here on this one here. And that'll be all right. That'll be fine. John! Everybody, here's John Kenworth. He's a fantastic artist. He's an inspirational guy. All right. So let's just take these, and I want to soften these water lines just a little bit. Like that. All right. And then let's just take, I forgot to get the sap drain out. So I'm going to start punching in the rest of this landscape here in just a second. No, I don't have a picture, Joel. I did have well, I started off, I just wanted to paint some mountains, just to kind of answer that question about the mountains. But then this afternoon, I was kind of sketched up this sketch, and you can see, which kind of gave me this idea about this water. Of course, the sketch doesn't match as you can see, the sketch does not match what we're doing, but had a little bit of an idea. But all right, so let's just put some color in here. It's a little too not dark enough. There we go. Put some color in here. We'll decide what we're going to do with it once we get over here. There we go. We're just adding color to the canvas that uses our background. All right, now I never have highlighted. We're going to highlight this vegetation, then we'll start moving to that side. All right. So let's do some highlighting of this vegetation. I'll just use the same little brush here that I've been using. We'll get some. I'll tell you what. Let's mix up a little extra colors here, just for the heck of it. Let's get some yellow, and I still got some. Let's get some cat orange. Just a little bit of that. And maybe a little bit of, I don't want too much of this red, but we'll put some red up here too. Maybe a little bit of alizarin crimson. We'll just kind of mix up some stuff here, see what we get. We're going to mix this up on the brush, so. Tell you what, before we do, let's clean this brush, let's say. This is a, oh yeah, black's in the mix. But it's midnight black, so it's sort of a blue, red, brown mixture. It's not lamp black. That would just smother everything out. All right, so let's try this now. So I'm just adding a little bit of linseed oil to my brush, picking up some yellow, picking up a little bit of orange, picking up a little bit of red, not too much. Then we're just going to come in here. That looks a little thin. Let's try it again. All right, now let's try it. All right, so we're just going to highlight these bushes around the thing here. On this side, we're going to leave most of that dark in there. Only cover up that dark. That orange is a bit overpowering. Here we go. Yeah, that's better. All right, so let's contrast that a little bit by throwing a couple of stones in here, maybe several. So let me get, what did I do with mine? I'm going to take a filbert brush and pick up some of this brown. We'll see how that does. Maybe some of that lightened up a little bit. And some of this. All right, so we've double loaded this brush with sort of a dark sienna mix from off of that mountain. We're just going to put some stones in here. And I need a little bit more. Could even put some out here in the pond if we wanted to. But let's just continue on here. Then I think we'll put a bigger stone. Right here. We're just adding a little bit of black in here. Here we go. All right. Now right around this rock, let's just take a fan brush real quick. Maybe put some weeds in it. There you go. We'll keep laying this dark in here for a little bit, and we'll move up. Do something a little lighter. Here we go. All right. Now on this side, I want to put like a tent/cabin or something like that over here. Hadn't thought about it too much, but we'll figure it out here in a second. It's kind of laying in the lay of the land here. All right. So I want to highlight that a little bit before I start putting in the cabin in, because it's going to have some stuff behind it, right? So let's just do that. Let's just kind of then we'll maybe we should have a path in here somewhere. Yeah, we'll chop that up and put the cabin in there. What do you say? Or a tent, or whatever. What did I have in my original sketch? I don't remember. We'll see in just a second. That was a tent. Alright. Alright, well, yeah. A lot of people put cabins in. I kind of like tents. I like to think if somebody's out this far, they'd like to stay in a tent. So let's think about that for a second. Let me think. Let me just kind of visualize what I would like to have. Alright. So let's just kind of maybe a little higher. That's better. Alright, so here's another maybe. Let me see, hang on a second before I say that. Oh yeah. Alright, so I just kind of scratched that out. Here's I never used one of these. This is kind of cool. This little tool here. I got this from Wilson Bickford. It's really nice to kind of, when you're deep into a painting like this and you want to kind of cut down into the remove paint to make it a little easier to make it stick. Just use this little tool. I'm not trying to take everything off, but just takes some of the paint off. It's kind of nice for laying stuff out. All right, let's go this way and down like that. Now, might also be cool to tell you what. I think I'll leave it like it is. All right, so let's paint this in. I'll use a flat maybe to do that, and I think I'll use some of this maybe. All right, so this side is going to be lighter, right? Because it's going to have this is where the sun's coming down. So let me just kind of first, let me take up much paint. The brush is, that brush is not one of my oil painting brushes, it's one of my acrylic brushes. Alright, what the heck? Now I know where it went. Alright, let's get this. Alright, let's try it again. So I've mixed, this color is alizarin crimson and sap green. It's called Christmas brown. It's a nice brown color to kind of lay in. I'm just going to add some titanium white to this to lighten that up. You can see it's a nice rich brown. It's really nice. Alright. And we'll just use a little bit of that to highlight this far edge. And then this right across the top. A little more. little on the back side. And we'll take some black and just paint a little line down the middle of the tent. There we go. Got us a tent, right? All right. Now, let's finish it. Let's finish it up. No, I'm not painting from a picture. No, I'm not painting from a picture. I don't usually paint from a picture. I usually start just painting and then see where it goes. All right. So I want to add a couple more things to this just to kind of jazz it up a little bit. So let's first of all let's finish highlighting this edge over here. I'm going to kind of tap some stuff in right here. And I kind of want to add like, that didn't come out very well. Let's try this again. Here we go. All right. I think I would like to add one more tree to this. So let's do that. I think I'd like one more tree like over in this area. So let's do that. Let's go, this time, let's go with the number 6 fan brush. So I'm loading a lot of paint. Once again, a lot of paint on the fan brush for those of you who weren't here when I was doing it to start with. And we're actually brushing up, so the branches of we're pressing the fan brush up so that the branches of the tree will go up as we go. Paint and go camping? Or go camping and go painting at the same time? That would be fun. That would be fun, wouldn't it? Alright. So let's highlight this tree. And I guess maybe we'll add a couple little rocks and then we'll call it a day here. A little bit more green. I need to do more green. You know what? I'll tell you what, before we do that, that tree is a little bit closer. Let's make sure let's give it a little bit of a trunk in there. So hang on a second. Where'd my knife go? So I'm just picking up some browns. I don't want a lot of this, I just want a little. I'm going to wipe off the knife. I'm going to sharpen the tree point. There we go. Now I'm getting highlighted. Let's see if this will stick. Yep. Working with a good amount of paint here. Now we're going to add a little bit of this blue with the green. Do the opposite side. Just give it a little more texture. Here we go. All right. Okay, so let's put in a couple more rocks and we'll call it a day. Shall we? All right, so let's see. Let's get some. All right, we're going to make some more of that Christmas green or Christmas brown because I'm out of brown paint. So just a second. So we'll get some green, some alizarin crimson. Mix that up real quick. You guys really should try that. It's a really nice brown. So it's a lot warmer than Van Dyke brown. I learned it from Yvette Bronson. Oh, using the wrong brush. If you haven't seen her on YouTube, she's really good. Check her out. All right, let me go back to my filbert brush. We'll put a couple stones in here. Need a little bit more than that. I don't know. I was just wondering if maybe I don't want to piddle with this too much. I'm going to soften down these rocks just a bit. They're a little too bright to suit me. Here we go. All right. All right, well. I guess that'll do it. For Joyce, I'd like to have a fish jumping up out of the water there, but I don't even have a fishing pole with me today, so. Hey, listen, guys, I really do appreciate you watching. I'll be doing more videos throughout the summer. Try to do at least once a week, do one. So, hope you'll tune in. I hope you'll look at my page, Dennis Stivers Fine Art, and give me a thumbs up. If there's any particular topic, like the reason this painting happened was people were asking about the mountains in my last painting, which was called Long Lake. So I thought I'd do a video of mountains just to kind of help people do them. And these are not snow-covered mountains much. They got a little bit of snow, but not much. But I'll be glad to. I'm always glad to show you how I do stuff. I know there's lots of different ways to do it, and but feel free to leave any comments you have, good, bad, or indifferent. And I hope you'll tune in the next time. And have a great day. Ben Stivers Fine Art. That's my page.